Hey guys, welcome to Chop Talk. I'm Spencer,
And I'm Kyle.
and let's get into it. Today we have a special guest for you. He is Jesse Kula from the Chicago Swordplay Guild, good friend of mine, but I'll let him introduce himself and go for it.
Hey everybody, I'm Jesse Kula. I'm with the Chicago Swordplay Guild. I'm an International Armazari Society provost, and I run the youth programs and the fitness programs at Forteza Fitness and Martial Arts, which is the home of the Chicago Swordplay Guild.
That's awesome. Jesse, we have all these questions. Me and Spencer were talking before you got here. Like, what do we want to talk about? Like, how many? Because we love your school. We're huge fans of it. And the question first, before we go to any of them, is what is your personal favorite sword of all time?
Man, my personal favorite sword of all
Hard
time,
ones.
that I've actually touched, or
Yeah.
So honestly, there's a Bronze Age sword that's about 1,700 years old that's in the Oakshot collection up in Minnesota. And everybody who's ever picked up this sword, first of all, it's still clean and bronze and in great shape. It's a Scandinavian Bronze Age sword.
Okay.
It's got these weird brown stains on it, and every single person who's ever picked it up has been just like, looked over at the person next to him, been like, I know what swords are for. And this thing just puts off this murder vibe. And it's also the most intact Scandinavian bronze piece I've ever seen, and it was just kind of terrifying to hold it in my hand. I was like,
Oh,
Tyrfing is
awesome.
real. Got it.
That's amazing. And
How,
you find
how
that
old is the
sometime.
sword?
The sword's about 1,700 and some years old. It's a early Scandinavian Bronze Age.
And you find that sometimes with some weapons. I don't know if for some of our viewers, like we work with trainers, wooden swords, all these things, but then you actually get a real sword that's meant for cutting, and you get it in your hand, and that's what you're just like, I could do horrible, wonderful things with this weapon. But you don't want to go to jail. So no. Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's awesome. I want to see a picture of that sometime, and you'll have to remind me. We'll have to check
You
it
got to
out.
email Craig Johnson. He'll send you a picture of it. It's still up there in Minnesota at the Oakshot collection with Arms and Armor.
All right, I will definitely check it out. Next one. How does one join the CSG?
Which tell us what it stands for too, for anyone that might not know.
So the Chicago Swordplay Guild, the CSG or Chicago Swordplay Guild, started way back in 1999. Greg Mealy and a guy named Mark Rector founded it, and many people have dropped off over the years. Many people have joined. It's one of the bigger, not big ass, but one of the bigger schools. Certainly, they're one of the bigger ones in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. But
joining is pretty easy. You can join as a long range member by just sending them $50 and saying you want to be a member. If you want to train here, our main classes are at Forteza. We have a daughter school in Milwaukee. We have a sister school in Denver. I guess technically Colorado Springs or whatever. Mm-hmm. We have a little tiny study group somewhere in California, and we have some affiliates in Texas, but they're not really using our name. But if you want to train in Chicago, you join our introductory program, which is 12 classes to learn the basics of footwork for either rapier or longsword. And then you're in.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Very cool. Thank you so much for that.
So you teach classes too, and you're teaching a class like right now, right? Like you're taking a break.
I literally just walked away from one of our youth program classes to come up here. I've got one of my teenagers and an adult kind of monitoring their sparring process, because they meet 4 days a week and they spar every time they come here, which is good for kids.
Yeah.
They use foam swords because most of them goes as young as age 7, so we don't want them getting broken with like heavy duty plastic equipment. The
Yeah, of
older
course.
ones kind of transition into the adult program, and then they use traditional like nylon and steel trainers like anybody else. But I teach that, and I run our close quarters combat program. So I teach wrestling and dagger, and I teach our fitness classes.
Fantastic.
And
Which
actually-
class? Oh, hold on. I got one more question. Follow that, Spencer.
yeah.
What's the most fun class?
It is a tie between some of the more like just hardcore fitness classes. Like I love running our sword fit class because it's just 45 minutes of continuous motion, and you're going to be dripping with sweat by the end. And I love like type 2, like mid-tier cardio, like sugar burning cardio. It's like my favorite thing in the universe. And it's a tie between the close quarters and the kids, because the kids, it's really fulfilling to watch them grow and like them to learn and improve as people and to watch them grow up. One of my earliest students just got married.
Congratulations.
I was like, I've known this person long enough. They were 12 and now they're 20 and they're married. It's like, when did that happen? And CQC is just evil and I love it. Like daggers and nasty wrestling is just a good party for me.
And we've had some times to cross swords. And actually, Jason, could you pull up a picture of Jesse and I in armor and me in my awesome footwear? It's okay. That's
okay.
all right. That's all right.
Yep.
I do like the Converse with armor look.
I think it's
yes.
I mean, granted, when we're trying to do things, period, 100%. Yes, I will bring the turn shoes, but going to other things, people are like, oh my gosh, look at those shoes. I'm like, yeah, the armor too, but yeah, the shoes. And this one, Jesse was about to do horrible, wonderful things to me and stab that sword into, I think you got me in the armpit that time after that. I don't remember. But
I don't remember. I almost got one in your armpit, and I tried to kick your knee out at one point, but you're just too darn big.
Yeah.
I only weigh 220, man. I can't just break you down easy.
That's such. But then you stab me close, and then you break me down. You've done it before, especially like when you have your sidearm. And I'm like, I don't have a sidearm on me, and you're like, that sucks to suck. And then you start trying to shank me, and yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for pulling that up, Jason. Just want to show our viewers that little picture.
I love that photo too, because it's like half sorting. Anytime someone is ready for the half sorting, I'm like, this is gonna be a cool bout. I'm ready to watch it. They're going all in.
I have a little 10-second memory from 2018. I was at Crumpow and I got to fight Brittany Reeves. And somewhere online in my YouTube, that fight's online. But about halfway through, I was recovering from something out of measure and I went to half sword. And Brittany just goes to half sword and the crowd just starts cheering like, yes, do it. And we both thought the better of it in the middle of the tournament. But it almost happened. And like the crowd they couldn't wait. They were like bloodthirsty.
Like, violence, we want it now.
Yes, we know what that means.
Now, also, we talk about the progression of people or different layers or levels. You guys don't have a belt system in CSG per se, but what is the progression of Chicago Circling Guild?
We have a couple of ranks. Way back in the year 2000, we were like kind of a super informal club, and it was kind of chaotic. We hadn't even decided to be like an all-Italian shop yet. Like we were still just kind of training whatever we get our hands on. Back then, you were lucky if you got like a picture of a photocopy of a picture of a manuscript to work from. So we realized that like some people need a carrot to kind of move them along.
Mm-hmm.
So we created a ranking system. Originally, it was just going to be 2 ranks. Now it is, I think, 5 officially.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the novice. You join as a novice.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere between 6 months and a year deep, you can take a test and become a companion at arms, which is just basically saying, hey, you're pretty solid. We don't need to watch you every time you spar. You're clearly not a white belt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the club, pat you on the back. Somewhere around the 2-year mark, give or take 6 months, you're going to go for scholar, which is a big public rank. So there's a couple of different tests. There's a written test. There's a 3 mandatory public fights in front of a crowd.
That's cool.
You have to account yourself well in those fights. So not necessarily win, because you're going to fight people who already have that rank.
Mm-hmm.
They're protecting the rank from you getting it. But you're going to fight them and account yourself well. And if you did a good job, those people who fought you get to vote and give the final say, which is almost universally yes. And then 3 to 5 years later, our highest fighting rank is Free Scholar. There you are expected to do rather well. We bring in instructors from outside. You have to fight a minimum of 9 fights. The fights are longer. There's more weapons. It's usually your primary weapon, your secondary weapon. On my side of the house, it's spear, one-handed sword, and two-handed sword. And then that's preceded by a gauntlet of dagger attackers and followed by any qualified swords person present can take 3 whacks at you. You were at our most recent one. You were gracious enough to come out. Thank you for that, by the way.
Thank you for having me. For viewers, it was really cool to be one of the guests, like teachers. I wouldn't say master level or anything, but you're representing your school of thought, and I was representing HAMA, and I got a chance to test some of them. It was really fun.
You did, and you punked some of my people, and I really enjoyed that. They needed the wake up call. And then we have some teaching ranks. You can become a provost, which is you retest for Free Scholar on the fighting side of it, but there's also a ton of curriculum and teaching skills you have to prove. And then if you want to be a master, we'll totally let you. All you have to do is own your own school and be a published author in the HEMA world.
That's so cool. And I
because
love the
you
level
are the
of
master of that space. You're not like a master of the force or like some master marshal. It's not what the rank's about. It's about being a teacher. So you can be the master of your own school, sure.
And the academic side, like actually publishing a book and doing stuff, I think it's something that us being predominantly from SCA and learning, and we have a lot of people that are scholars, but only a few of them are actually published authors. And it's something that's driven me to want to publish a book on Shotel. And I'm like, do it. Get the research. Make it happen.
Do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Cool answer. Now, I know we're almost running out of time for you. Kyle, did you have some other questions for Jesse?
I mean, I have some silly questions, like how many people with daggers attack the person trying to be a Free Scholar? Like, are we talking 3 guys with daggers?
It depends on how much we love them. When it was mine, it was 5 minutes of continuous attackers. So they didn't have any order. They would just come in from the corners as they saw fit, and they had to count to 4 before the next person could come in. Sometimes they'd count to 8 if they were feeling like being nice.
In like a lot of dagger self-defense, they talk about like the first rule of dagger fighting is everyone's getting cut. When you fought for 5 minutes, how much did you get cut?
A fair bit. I mean, it's online.
Yeah.
You can look it up. My dagger gauntlet's on my YouTube channel. I don't hide it. I probably
what's your YouTube channel? We'll put it in the comments.
It's my JD Klula email address at gmail.com.
Okay, we'll put in a link down below for the viewers and everyone. We'll make sure to link that. That's outstanding.
Sure. I will try to find that real quick in a second, and I'll link it before I go. But yeah, it was like just depends on how much they like you. I had guys start like changing their attacks. I think I kicked one guy in the stomach and just blasted him out of the ring because he was being a punk, and I was done with him.
Like,
so he came in and did all this fancy stuff, and just kicked his tummy out from under him, and was like, "Thank you, come again."
It makes me think of like the Kill Bill, the Crazy 88s, and everyone's just there, and you're just doing work.
Yeah, and we're not there. You're not there to win in this sense of getting 100% perfect score. If you're like scoring 50%, you're doing really, really well. It's just a pressure test. Like, we're going to avalanche you with this horrible BS thing that's awful. And you just have to stay on your feet, keep moving, keep your brain going. You're going to get exhausted. People are pounding on you. Okay. But just keep your wits, keep your body, and do your best job. And you'll find out the other side, it's a great learning experience.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Last thing I have for you, do you have anything you want to promote as CSG is coming? Like, what are you guys looking forward to in the next couple months?
I will say about what we're promoting right now is we're about to launch our promotion for our end of January tournament on January 29th here in Chicago.
Awesome.
So I'd like to invite any people who want to fight with swords and have HEMA gear, come on up. The announcements will go live on our data shortly, but it's going to be January 29th. We've already got a space, so we're in business.
Nice.
Coming up in February for Black History Month, we're going to have a big HAMA thing. We're going to have Spencer. We're going to see who else we can get and maybe do like a bigger like thing and really promote that here in Chicago. Because while I can't teach HAMA. I barely know any, but I want to be supportive of all historical sword arts. And while I only have limited teaching resources, if I can create an event and get teachers up here, then I can promote that martial art and hopefully keep it alive.
We really appreciate that. It was really cool when Kyle and I got to teach that for our first chance of the Wandering Sword, coming out to CSG and teaching that first Shotel class. So,
Oh, and you
we
guys
really
were great. Like between our armored fight back in 2019 and that seminar, I was like, bam, come to my prize play, represent your school. You're going to kick some butt. I know you will. Come on.
Aw, thanks, buddy. You
So,
guys don't know viewers wise. That's like totally like not like a bromance we always have, but it's really cool to get this acknowledgement from people that you really respect in the sword field across the nation. It just happens to be that we are in the same state, but it's really, really awesome.
Not the same state as me. That's a
no, not
like long
anymore.
distance. When I met
true.
Jesse, I'm like, this guy, he knows swords. I'm gonna get along with him. That's for sure.
True, 100% true. Well, being acknowledgement of your time, it is now 6:02.
yeah, I do have to jump out, but I just
Yeah.
went and grabbed the Dagger Gauntlet link, which I'm putting in, and that is my YouTube channel, so you can find anything else on there. I have a blog that goes with it, but I don't update it like I should, so most of it's a little old right now.
All right, man.
Well,
yeah,
The
we'll
Dagger
get
Gauntlet's
that.
in there
We'll
if
get
you
that
guys want
added.
to use that link. It was a bad party, but a great party.
It's all
Danny,
right.
thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime you're in Chicago, every Friday night we fence. So if anybody's around, they want to come hit me with a sword or hit my students, please do come hit me. I love it.
Outstanding. We'll make sure to put the
Sounds
links there.
good,
And
man.
you have an awesome time teaching young people about weapons. So, see you around.
Yep.
Thank
See
you,
Jesse.
gents.
Awesome. That's so cool. I'm really glad for our viewers wise. We were talking to him last week and his schedule. So he's a personal trainer as well as a professional sword just practitioner, provost, as we know. So I'm like, hey, do you have any free time today? And he's like, I don't know. Wait, I really want to be on the show. I'll make time. So I'm like, yes.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. We had, I think we've got a couple more photos as well, because he was at Sword Hogwarts with us, and we did classes together. We did bouts. Jason, can you bring up one of the armored group? I think that's got everyone in the class we were at there.
Yeah.
Yes. That wasn't what I was thinking of, but I love this one. Yeah.
Wolf.
This class was taught by Scott Farrell out of California, who's an SCA Duke, but he's also a published HEMA author and loves German longsword. And Jesse was my partner while we did all of the different arm bars with swords. I loved it. It was my favorite class the whole time, just wrestling and everything.
The level of professionalism that every instructor had, all the students still, is people, for all our viewers, most of your martial artists, you've been around martial arts or sword people for a long time. Obviously, you like the Wandering Sword Project. But you have these instances where you meet people and you're kind of feeling them out to where you're not sure what they know, not sure what you know. And when you get into grappling things, there's a real chance for people to actually get hurt if they go too far. And I safely say no one got hurt in that, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
It was really controlled. Like, that's the thing, is some people in martial arts, when you're new to it, they don't have a lot of control. Everyone in the armor that day, they were on their game. Everyone was controlled, everyone was safe, and everyone was violent. It was fantastic.
And one thing we try to say, violence is not bad. Being malicious violence is bad, but controlled violence is a beautiful, wonderful thing. It's awesome.
Yep. Well, Spencer, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Sword Nerd News.
Sword Nerd News. Yeah, let's show it. What do we have for Sword Nerd News this week?
All right, Jason, bring it up. Bring it up, because what we're talking about is the most popular thing ever on YouTube right now, or on Netflix.
Yeah,
is Squid Games. And
now, how does this pertain to sword stuff, though, Kyle?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. It's not just that they had knife duels with butter knives, but it's actually these masks. When I saw these masks, I thought of all of my friends that do fencing and how people like to paint their masks and decorate them or put the hood on. My prediction is that we're going to see people with the triangles and the squares and the other assorted PlayStation buttons is going to be very popular in the next year on fencing masks. What do you think?
I think it's highly possible, even though it might maybe kind of help that thing. Be like, I can slowly see merchants being like, "Hey, buy these fencing masks. They already have these things logos on them, and here's this tunic. Like, would you like a Viking pink? Would you like a different? Like, you're just gonna see a whole bunch of like Squid Games people running across the field. If not, we're gonna make it happen. So yeah, I can see it happening. Definitely happening.
Yep, I'd be there. I'd wear the worker circle or whatever it was. I don't remember.
I don't
but
know.
each one's a different rank. Yeah, I don't. Someone in the comments maybe can remind me, but
I have to think.
We're gonna see them. We're gonna see those on fencing masks. It's only a matter of time.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's say maybe we'll call you Oracle if you get it right. We're not sure, but it's a nice, nice thought.
We'll see.
So on other news, let's say I traveled to Colorado Springs. I think it's now 2 weeks ago. Got a chance to combat in HMB, which is Historical Medieval Battles Duelist League. It was the Combat and Beer Fest, which was cool. I was fighting all day. Sadly, I did not have chance to get beer because I wanted to have my wits about me. I didn't want to be completely parched, even though the Colorado sun and the elevation that we were at, around 7,000 above sea level, no joke.
Yeah, dude, I was about to ask that. Like, how serious is the combo of the hot sun and the elevation for your breath? Like, what did that do to you?
It was so hard. And we were always wanting to train more, better ourselves. I still think after my fight with Brett, my cardio is getting better. I'm maybe at 60% of what I want to be. So I'm 20% above what I was. However, that, I know, right? It's positives. Positives.
Now I'm a D. Like, but we're pulling it up.
I'm just being honest. But I was like, oh, I did really good. I should be better at this point. But then because of the elevation, I felt like I was still at 40 or maybe 30. Because I'm just like, this is a lot. And the sun was so hot. I mean, the sun, obviously, it's the same around the earth, but it just felt so intense. Jason, could you pull up one of the pictures I have us where we're like all huddled under a pop-up? It's not glorious, it's not glamorous, but we're in the middle of Colorado. We're at this brewery, which is really cool. And you just see, it was like this kind of funny little experiment. Oh, yeah, like everyone's in armor and we're there and we're like kind of huddled in the shade. And like you can see the sun encroaching on where we're at. And you just see all the fighters kind of like, I want to get out of the sun. Because it's not like, it's just sucky.
Dude, it looks like a bunch of vampires like huddling and like as the sun is beaming in, they're like, no, scoot over.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it's not that hot a little bit, but your legs, as you know, your legs are out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
As soon as I'm like, oh, this actually hurts. I need to get, like, you're scooting over to be like getting out of the sun. And it doesn't matter if you weren't fighting, you kind of like, I don't want to move. This is my spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's great. So, Spencer, you had a duels. Was it like a tournament where you fought several, or is it like your match with Brett before where it was like a one-on-one and that was the thing?
So it was one-on-one, but it wasn't just like a MMA style. Like, actually, Jason, could you bring up the longsword, the sheet that shows all the people that fought in longsword? I think in longsword we had 16 different people that fought, and yeah, because you saw on the top left is part, and then they started moving forward. Yeah. So I think it was 16. Depending on the rounds, so I'll just go out and said I won the longsword. I was first place out of all. So Wandering Sword, woo! Wandering Sword.
Way to go, dude.
Yeah, thank you. It was really fun. And like there were so many good athletes. We had people from all over the nation. The finals ends up being me and a gentle named Greg Fisher. And actually, Jason, could you pull up the next picture where we're standing with the anime pose in the dark and we're pointing swords at each other? It felt like that one UFC part where there's this guy that trains. He's totally like anime. And he's versus Silva. And he's like has his hand behind his back like Rock Lee. You can see, I don't know if it cut off a little bit. I'm on the left.
I see it.
But we're just there. We were the last fight of the day. So the way they did the tournament, they did like all the preliminary stuff. Then they go to Buckler. Then they went to Sword and Shield. Then they went to Polearm. And then they finished Polearm. Then they went to the finals of each one. We were the last fight of the day. So it's gotten dark. They had to bring the cars out to see. The points were, you couldn't see the points. So there's no thrust in this because, you know,
right.
You want to accidentally go through the
HMB rules.
Yeah. And you can't see the tip on some of the part where it got this dark. And they're like, do you feel safe? And I'm like, I want to keep on finishing. I really want to win this tournament. I will be very safe. And
is there like a maybe checkbox that you did? Like, yes, no, maybe.
I wish. All I just said, I want to make sure no matter what I'm fighting, I don't want anyone to get hurt when you do stuff like, yes, you're swinging for the fences, but I'm like, I don't want to accidentally stab somebody. And we had two close calls this one.
For real.
That actually shook me when I saw it. Almost someone get stabbed. And then yet we come out here, we're tired at the end, and we're getting ready. And Greg's just energy. He's like swinging the sword like this part where we're waiting. And I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna let him do it. I'm doing the same thing. We point each other like this. And the referee's like, guys, please be serious. Like, you could actually get hurt. We're like, no, we are. We are.
Take this seriously. This is a deathly serious sword fighting match.
Exactly. And then could you go to the last one where they so after you do all these fights, you're fighting for 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's counted blows. And then the referees talk to see, because people are keeping track of how many you get hit. Or
Right.
how many
How many judges count? Is it a 2 or 3 judge system?
It's a 3 judge system while the ones are watching. And then they bring you to the middle and they're like, all right. And then you don't know what you're like, if it's a close fight, you're like, I hope I get it. And then they raise your hand up. And when they raise my hand up, they're like, and the victor of the longsword. I was just like, yes. And of course, graciously bow. And then Greg, he had a good time. I fought him in the buckler. We were fighting for 3rd place. And he made me get 4th place. And so he got 3rd. So it was victory, sweet revenge. But I can't wait to fight him again. It was rough.
That's great, man. Yeah, that sounds like a really good time.
Thank you. And you're right, Will. It definitely was rough. Because I did good. I was undefeated in that. So I got iced, though. Like, I won my fight, and then people had to fight it out. I didn't fight again until later, so I'm all cold and like just sitting there. It was sucky. But anyway, it was fun. Got a longsword tournament coming up. This next week, I'm going to Reno, and I'm going to be fighting the Armored Sports ACS, Armored Combat Sports League. It's for their nationals, so I'll be trying to fight nationals for national longsword.
What weapons are you using for that?
Oh, I'm only really doing longsword. I'll be fighting sword and
okay.
buckler too, but I don't really. That one's just going to kind of warm up. I just actually saw a note that they said, "Oh, do you want to be in the melees too?" And I really actually do not want to. I want to go there to win longsword.
Like a different techniques, skills, and even your equipment is going to change for optimization. So that
And my titanium gear and melees, if I get locked up on a wall, it's going to get chewed through. So I need to talk to the team because I don't want to. I'll be fighting with the death dealers, so I'm kind of being a mercenary. So we'll see. But anyway, so that's what I got going on. It'll be fun.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's super cool. All right, yeah. My big exciting thing I'm doing isn't even a sword thing. I'm taking boxing lessons again just to like get back at it. And so I'm like, I don't even have cool sword things to share. Just boxing.
That's awesome, man. I still think boxing is the best foundation for my sword play. So
yeah, same. My sword game definitely got better when I started boxing and doing Muay Thai. It just the more fighting arts you learn, the better it's going to get all around.
Yeah. And footwork wins. Footwork's so good.
100%, bro. Well, Spencer, I think we're at time right now.
I believe so. Yeah. That really flew by. Honest, no joke. I know you say it like it sounds like that time flew by, but like honestly, I'm looking at the time like, oh, it is time to go.
Yep.
So thank you so much for everyone tuning in.
Definitely. So this has been Chop Talk with Kyle and Spencer. Make sure to give our channel a like and a subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at The Wandering Sword Project. Also, don't forget to check out Jesse's page, which we're going to put in the comments section here. Give him a follow and check him out because the Chicago Swordplay Guild does some really cool stuff.
Amazing. I just taught a class there this last Sunday, so really support them. And also, if you guys have any questions, put them in the comments. Let us know what you want to see.
Yep, definitely. All right. Until next time, wander on and cut. Check us out on Patreon. You can even sign up to get our Season 1 exclusive t-shirt. We are grateful for your contributions, and every bit helps us bring you more content. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, but most importantly, wander on.